This is Gatesey, a.k.a. Rob. No, actually, it's Rob, a.k.a. Gatesey, and he's got his own YouTube channel, but he was round here today to play a bit of pinball. And whilst he was here, we've just done a bit of recording for his channel and recorded my Mount Rushmore video, which is basically me selecting 4 West Ham players, which you can go and watch. When we upload that? No pressure.
I would say possibly tomorrow, Monday, maybe.
Okay. What's your channel?
It's called Forged from Iron West Ham United.
There we go. We'll put the link in the description below. So anyway, so after recording that, I said, you know what? Let's have a little chat about things for West Ham, and we can upload this for Sunday, which will be today when you're watching it. We had a little look through the news, mate. You weren't particularly looking at it when I was. Did you see the Vladimir Coufal link? Well, he's up for sale, basically.
I know there was obviously talk a week or so ago. I think Bayer Leverkusen was mentioned.
Well, what do you think about that? About us selling him?
To be honest with you, if we didn't have the news that we had yesterday, or
the Zouma news
about Zouma, then I'd have probably been a little bit more receptive to it, because of obviously we would have had an extra body, if you will. Now that obviously the news about Zouma's come out, that he's out, I'm hearing all sorts of things. You know, it could be 6 months, it could be this, it could be that. Now I'm a bit more, maybe we might want to hang fire with this. I mean, I saw something today about £6 million or whatever, which for a guy that I think, is he in the last 6 months of his contract?
Yes,
Coufal?
and that would be money back.
Yeah.
That's our money back.
Yeah, so from that perspective, I guess it's a decent move. But at the same time, if that's a player that we're losing and we're not getting someone in as a direct replacement, then I'm not too sure that I think it would be a false economy myself.
Do you think that David Moyes has conceded and decided that that's not his guy anymore? Because, I mean, I certainly felt at the start of the season it was his. He had the shirt. I thought he'd worked his way back to number one. Very first game, and we hadn't signed Kehrer by that point. Johnson wasn't. Maybe Johnson was injured at the start of the season. Can't remember, but it certainly felt to me like Coufal had gone back to being almost his number one right back. Obviously, he's let Fredericks go. Now it feels to me like he's his third choice right back. Do you think that? Do you think that with David Moyes? You think he's already decided he's not for me?
It's difficult to know. I mean, I think if he's possibly entertaining the fact that he might move him on, whether it's Leverkusen or another team, I think that it's fairly safe to say that he doesn't view him currently as his first choice right back, maybe his second choice perhaps. But then again, I mean, we've had the discussion about who I think ought to be the first choice right back, but he's never going to play.
Oh, go on. Yes, Harrison Ashby.
Yeah, he's never going to play Harrison Ashby at right back. Obviously, we know about the situation that he wants to move on. I'm very much an advocate that maybe the reason he wants to move on is the fact that he isn't getting played. So maybe if you play him, you might change his mind. But I think that ship has sailed as far as David Moyes is concerned, I'm afraid. So I think we kind of have to put Harrison Ashby, with regret, to one side. Who is the first choice right back at the club? Well, that's a really difficult one, because, I mean, you've had Kehrer there latterly, and I don't think he's really covered himself in glory.
No, but that's what you think. Who does David Moyes think is the first choice? Does David Moyes continue to play Kehrer at right back? That's what I'm wondering.
Will.
Yeah, so do I.
I think he probably will. Whether he should, I'm not entirely convinced, but I think that in all likelihood it will be Kehrer at right back when we come back from the international break.
Me too. Just to go back on what we were discussing about Ashby, and we said this yesterday. I totally take the concept and the suggestion that maybe if we play him, we might change his mind. He might sign a contract at West Ham, and that might be his long-term future at West Ham. That's great. And that would be great for long-term at West Ham. But we have this whole other set of problems, which is not the future. It's the here and the now. And I know you think this as well, because you've just said it. But actually, maybe, just maybe, particularly what we're lacking, that Harrison Ashby is our best option at right back at the moment. There's no point going into detail about what Kehrer's deficiencies are when he plays there. They're numerous and well known. We all know what Ben Johnson's deficiencies are when he's playing out. And I looked at it the other day, and Ben Johnson, under David Moyes, has been asked to play 7 positions. If you listen, it's a bit tenuous to say 7 positions. You have to classify playing centre-back in a 3 and a 2 are slightly different. But he's, but he has played left-sided centre-back, right-sided centre-back. He's played left wing-back, right wing-back, right wing-back, left wing-back, right back, left back. He's played in central midfield on occasion. We're asking an awful lot of him, and we know what he's deficient at, which is getting forward. I just look at it, and I think Ashby's the best option there. If we were going to go and look for a young player now to buy at right back, we'd be looking at somebody like Harrison Ashby. I think it's absolutely crazy that we don't really. So what's your what do you think we're going to do with the Zouma situation? Because obviously, I just want to get a few opinions off you while you're here and whilst you're sat in the as we call it. Actually, I was going to say, as I call it on the Pinball channel, Flipperama Towers. Whilst you're sat in Flipperama Towers, there's no towers here, by the way. What do you think he's going to do about the Zouma? What's the solution?
Oh,
if you seem to believe that Kehrer is going to continue to play at right back,
I think he's got to go in the market for another centre back.
Really?
And whether that's actually going to be a permanent signing or whether he goes into the loan market, I don't know. I mean, I can see it being a loan because, quite frankly, I would be surprised if we have too much in the way of funds in the winter transfer window. Obviously, we're on a watch list, aren't we, as far as the FFP is concerned?
Right,
so
that's right.
we got to tread a little bit carefully. So we can't be sort of splashing £20 million or whatever on a centre back, because that might set a few alarm bells ringing if we perhaps go over some sort of threshold that we're sort of got to be beholden to. So I think it'll probably be a loan signing, and it'll probably also mean that Craig Dawson's going nowhere till the summer.
He can't, and I feel bad for him.
Yes, so do I. I know people would say he signed a contract, he should honour it, and all the rest of it, and that's fine.
Well, he is.
But as a family man, you've got a family, I've got a family. Sometimes things happen that changes the dynamic. So it's not as simple as just turning around and saying, well, you've got a contract, sunshine, so you've got to stay here till, there's a human element to this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to do what we can to facilitate and make it a little bit easier for him. We don't know. And to be honest, I don't want to know. I don't know whether it's... I don't know what's happened. I don't know if there's been a bereavement. I don't know if there's a medical thing. I don't know. But as we understand it, for some reason, he has to be quite hurriedly near his family. And if he can't be and he feels almost trapped down here, but he drives down every day.
Yeah, training.
Drives down it's crazy. It's crazy. I did it once. Once in the last 2 weeks, I've done some travel. Went up to Bedfordshire, got caught on the M1, got caught on the M25 near Heathrow. Honestly, I want to kill everyone by this point. Do you know what I mean? So it can't be an easy thing to do, and there's no reason to suspect that footballers don't get caught in traffic jams. I'm sure, just because you're on 60 grand a week, that means you can't get caught in a traffic jam. So here's my question here. So let's forget about Harrison Ashby, because I think we both agree that Moyes isn't going to do what we want him to do. So here's the question for you. Let's say we do have a little bit of money or the ability to bring in one player. And let's say that is because we cash in on Vlasic early, get the 13 million or whatever it is. Maybe we sell Coufal, and we've got... Let's say if we put it all together, we got 20 million quid.
Yeah.
Would you rather, with that 20 million quid, move Kehrer into central defence to have him as an option with a Gerd, Dawson, Kehrer and Ogbonna, and then use that £20 million to buy a right back? Or would you prefer to keep Kehrer and Johnson as cover at right back and buy a centre back?
Oh,
good, huh?
Wow. Wow.
Naughty.
Yes. I think on balance, I think I would go Kehrer as a centre back, and I think I would be going in the market for a decent right back. I think 20 million quid should get you a decent quality right back. I'm not saying it will be Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker or anything of that ilk, but 20 million quid for a club of our stature to spend on a right back. I mean, when was the last time we spent anywhere near that sort of money on a right back? So it should get someone of fairly decent quality. I mean, what was Coufal was 5 million quid?
Yeah. So it's money back. I mean, the most I don't. Maybe someone will correct me. I think the most he spent on a fullback, if you want to call it that, or that sort of position, would be Emerson. Now, I do think it's really important, which is 12 million, something like that.
Been a brilliant success so far.
Exactly right. Whoever we bring in at right back, if we do that, you've got to make sure they can play right wing back and right back.
Yeah.
Because they are massive deficiencies. We've never really done it. I remember spending money, particularly in terms of wages, on Lucas Neal. Remember thinking at the time, this is the first time in ages we've brought anyone proper in this position, that we haven't, I know it's left back. Remember, we patch it up, we bring Razvan Rat in for nothing to try and patch things up, and he doesn't work out, and this, that, and the other. I definitely remember Lucas Neal. He was a captain, he was solid, he was bloody brilliant. We actually got a proper one in. We always seem to scrimp at that, and Cresswell would be the example against that, because it was however long, probably nearly 10 years ago now, that Cresswell came in, and we paid good money, 7 million from Ipswich, as I remember it. So yeah, I would agree. Just go and spend money on the fullback, because at least it will improve. It's an improvement on the team, an improvement on the way we play. We can't keep signing centre backs all the time. Sign so many centre backs. They just break. Honestly, like me with watches, I don't wear a watch anymore. Every watch I've ever owned, I've broken in less than a year. Honestly, I do not wear watches. Can
we just do a little bit of a quick role reversal, just real quick then? I'm going to flip the question to you.
Yeah.
So if we're going to go for a right back, have you got a name in mind?
No, I haven't got enough of an encyclopedic knowledge of the game. I think we really missed a trick in terms of European football. I don't know enough about it, and I can't. It's not like I can look domestically and think, well, we can get somebody. Funny enough, I saw that's not me farting. That's give it a.
Yeah, Brussels sprouts earlier.
That's it. Somebody wrote an article the other day. It really sounds terrible, doesn't it? Someone wrote an article the other day. West Ham can sign almost anyone. West Ham are perceived to be a big club now. Aside from the very, very top, apart from PSG and whatever, Chelsea and whoever else, West Ham, in terms of the next down club, should be able to sign anyone. And I would agree with that, if you strip out the context of where we are in the Premier League at the moment, and the perceived reputation we may well be getting, which we discussed last night as well, which is, if you were an agent of a player, particularly a foreign player, if you were to look at Scamacca and you were to look at Paqueta and you look at Keira, you would be irresponsible not to point out to your client, the footballer, that maybe, just maybe, West Ham was not the best option for you. Because West Ham doesn't look like a good place to go at the moment. And I know, if you were that guy that was sort of steeped in European knowledge, you'd probably start saying, well, look what happened to Haller. Haller went there, he was terrible. He was great before at Frankfurt. Went there, he was terrible. Went to Ajax, he was great afterwards. Maybe Felipe Anderson's not a great example, because even when we put him on loan to Porto, he wasn't great. And I'm not sure he's done brilliant things since he go back, because that can happen. But by and large, look at Vlasic as well.
Yeah.
I think you could point to a number of signings, and you'd probably say to your client, just wait with West Ham. You don't know what's going to happen with them. I'm sure you think the same way.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion I thought Haller was a decent striker. I thought he was more than a decent striker. And I think it was only when Moyes walked through the door that you saw that he just never fitted Moyes' style of play, and it was just one of those things. And I heard an interview that Haller did with, I think it was TalkSport from memory, when he went to Ajax, and he pretty much just said it was just one of those things. I don't hold any grudges, and it's just one of those things. I didn't suit them the way that the manager wanted to play, and vice versa. So it was just a parting of the ways. But I just look at it and I go, I mean, you referenced Scamacca, you referenced Paqueta, and just on those two, I think that we're putting square pegs into round holes. Moyes keeps doing it. I think for me, he needs to understand that these players look give their best in a certain role, in a certain position, in a certain formation, and it's not the formation that he's been playing. So maybe he needs to change that up a little bit to get the best out of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big worry. I mean, as you may know, I did a video on Paqueta the other day, and I was very much saying that, having watched him play against Brazil. I thought, this is not good. This is not good because he was out of position. Not for Brazil. He was in a great position for Brazil. Just out. I thought, Moyes, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, I'll ask you now before we wrap up. Do you think we'll stay up?
Oh, God. I thought we'd stay up in 2003. In fact, I didn't think we couldn't have gone down with that squad, but we did. I think we should have enough. But what worries me is if we focus on the Conference League, which part of me wants to, because it's fundamentally a trophy. It's a European trophy. It's a route into Europe next season. All well and good, but if by concentrating on that it's to the detriment of our Premier League form, then I'd be quite happy to sack it off. Now, I appreciate they're not mutually exclusive, and just because you push the Conference League to one side, that means your Premier League form is going to improve. I understand that, but I just think that we need to get ourselves safe in the Premier League. I think we need to come back with a bang after the international break, the World Cup break. The problem I have is that when I look at that first tie away against Arsenal, we know that David Moyes doesn't have a great record against top six teams, especially away from home. And then you're looking at the next two and going, right, we're at home to Brentford, and 2 games we played against them last season, we didn't get a point. And Leeds away, and you're never quite sure what Leeds are going to turn up. So I think it all hinges on those next 3 games after the World Cup break. If we can get what is believed to be David Moyes' target of 5 points, I think that game on. But if we come back and we don't really hit the ground running, and we're seeing the same old problems that we know with the same formation, the players that are being played that's out of form, substitutions that are reactive rather than being proactive, then I really do, at that point, I start to worry that we might have a major problem on our hands.
Yeah, great points. I think the other thing is, I believe because we've finished top in the group in the Conference League, I believe that resumes in March for us. If we're still in this predicament by March, then we really are in trouble. I would hope that by that point, the Conference League isn't even a consideration, because whatever, we're mid-table in the league and we can look at that without worrying about it. If we're still at a point in March where we're thinking, we've got to watch out with the Europa League, the Conference League, because we're still down the bottom of the league, then Moyes wouldn't. That would be bad, because I don't think Moyes would be here then anyway. It would mean we'd got a new manager and we're still at the bottom of the league, and that really would be a massive problem. Anyway, there you go. Happy. Let's just finish on a happier high note. England to win the World Cup.
Of course.
There you go. See, lovely. Thanks, Rob. Forged from Iron.
Forged from Iron, West Ham United. You can find us on YouTube, and we're also on all the usual social media platforms.
Give him a watch. Good mate of mine. Very, very lovely guy. Just give him a watch. I was going to say download. Don't download. You don't need to download his channel. What's all about download? Don't download any of it. Just click and watch it, and then you might even see my ugly mug on there in a couple of days. Cheers, mate.
No worries.